I have to allow mine to record too. So hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here with Michaels. And on behalf of the Craft Yarn Council, I want to welcome you. So the Craft Yarn Council is a great organization. I'm involved with it as part of their Certified Instructors Program. So I help people learn to be teachers so we can share our knitting and crochet passion with everybody else. And I got to say that teaching people to knit and crochet is one of my favorite things that I do in my job. So I'm really lucky to be able to do that. Today we are talking about learning to crochet a granny hexagon. And let's see, Nicoria, let me see if am I spotlighted? I've got to fix my own view here. There we go. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about what a granny square and a granny hexagon is. I'm going to kind of go over the details of what makes it a granny and what makes it a hexagon. Well, 6 sides. And then we'll do the step by step. You should have downloaded the handout so that you have the written instructions. You'll see that there is a chart, a stitch chart, as well as written instructions. So you can follow both or follow one or the other. I also want to say, if you're newer to crochet and you may not be as confident with the stitches, I may be going too fast for you. And for that, I apologize. I have to figure out exactly what the right tempo is to keep people moving forward. And if they know how to crochet, to go ahead and finish a hexagon, but I can always go back. This is being recorded. So you can always go back and look at the video and stop it and take it at your own time. So if I'm going too fast or too slow, just be patient with me. You can watch the video at your own speed when it's available on YouTube. You can ask your questions in the chat. I have somebody who's going to be looking at the chat and helping me with that because I won't be able to teach and read all your chat questions at the same time. Okay, let's switch cameras so you can see my hands. I want to talk a little bit first about, okay, here we go. Here's a granny square. Everybody kind of knows what a granny square looks like. But let me talk about what makes it a granny, because then we'll talk about what makes this a granny hexagon. Typically speaking, when we have a granny square, and I'm sorry that white is so bright, it's kind of hard to look at, isn't it? We have 4 groups of 3 double crochets, and I'm using American crochet terminology here. So our first round is 3 double crochets with a corner space. So there's a chain hiding in there. And we do that 4 times and join. And then we put corners in our corner spaces. So all our double crochets are always put into spaces. We're never working into a stitch. We're always working into a space. So on round 2, I put 3 doubles and 2 chains and 3 doubles in the corner, and then a chain 1, and then the same thing around. So we're doing the same thing all the way around. That's the granny square. We have 4 corners and 4 sides. Do you feel like you're in kindergarten? What is a square? 4 corners and 4 sides. Okay, so how do we make a hexagon? Well, 6 sides. This time we're going to start with that center ring and do groups of 2 double crochets with chains in between. Okay, so these little groups, these 2 double crochets, have chains in between. The first round is actually a round, and then we start building out and we start making 6 corners. But every time we do it, we're going to be doing groups of 2 double crochets into a space. And when we do a corner, we're going to do 2 double crochets, a couple of chains, and 2 double crochets to make our corner. So that's a whole lot of talking about it, but sometimes it's helpful to kind of see where we're going before we start working. So here I am. I'm just going to move that to the side and get some yarn here. There are many ways we can start a circle. I'm just going to start with a chain 4, or chain 5, sorry. I'm going to read the instructions on the handout exactly as written. So I'm reading along here, or I'm following my chart here. This is just one variation of a granny hexagon. There are many different ways you could actually do that. Okay, so I'm going to start by making a slip knot, pulling that through, and then chain 5. So just as a reminder, there are many different ways you can hold your hook and your yarn. I'm right-handed. I'm holding my hook in my right hand. My yarn is tensioned through my fingers on my left hand, and I'll push back to create a yarn over and then pull that loop through. I'm controlling what's on my hook with the thumb and middle finger of my left hand. So that was 1. Push back, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 3, then yarn over, 4, yarn over, 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I counted wrong. That was 6 chains. Then slip stitch in the first chain to form a ring. So now I'm going to bend this ring around and insert my hook into that first chain, yarn over, and do a slip stitch, which just means bring it all the way through. Now I've formed a little ring. You see, I could put that ring on my finger if I want to. And all of the stitches for round 1 are going to show up into that ring. That's where we're going to put all these first stitches. Round 1 begins with a chain 3. So chain 1, chain 2, chain 3, and we're going to call that one a double crochet. That has magically become a double crochet because the pattern says so. So that's our chain 3 double crochet. Then we'll put another double crochet in the ring. So yarn over, then make sure you're working into that hole right there. Go into that ring, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. All right, so now I have my chain 3, which counts as a stitch, and my double crochet. The next thing to do is chain 1. That's going to create my first corner there. Then it says to 2 double crochet in ring, chain 1 5 times. I'm actually going to be working over this yarn tail too. You can do that if you want to. So 2 double crochets in the ring. 1, I'm going a little faster here. 2, and then chain 1. That was 1 time. 2 more double crochets. 1, 2, chain 1, and that's 2 times. Now this is starting to kind of fill up this ring, but what I can do is I can scooch these stitches a little closer together, and then I have a little more space in that ring. So I'll do those 2 doubles again. And chain 1, 2 doubles again. Oops, my yarn's creeping up on me here, and chain 1. Now I can't count and talk at the same time, so I don't know how many of these repeats that I've done. All right, so let's stop and count. There was my chain 3 and double crochet and a chain 1 space. There's another 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to do 1 more set of 2 double crochets and a chain 1. So the last set, now I had to scooch these around So I had space in here. Yarn over, go into the ring. So I'm not trying to go into a stitch or anything. I'm just going into that space right there. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And one more time into the ring, and it's pretty easy to get into that ring. It starts getting a little bit bigger. Then chain 1. Let's stop and take a look at where we are, okay? So here's my first group of 2 double crochets. Remember that one became a double crochet. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yay. Okay. That's what I want, because if I start with 6 groups and 6 corners, those little tiny corners, then I'll end up with a hexagon. Now I'm going to slip stitch in the top of my chain 3 to finish this round. Let's look at that chain 3. You see 1, 2, 3. You see when I started, I did that chain 3. So I'm going to put my hook right into front to back into the top of that chain right there, the 3rd chain, yarn over and slip stitch, meaning yarn over and bring it through the whole thing, everything I've got right there. And then I'm going to cut my yarn. I'll leave about a 4 or 5 inch tail here to weave in later. And fasten off by doing a yarn over and pull it through. And then I just tighten that up. So that is the first round, and it doesn't look like much. I will admit that. It's actually a circle, you know, whatever. It doesn't look that great, but it's the next round, it will start looking more like a hexagon. So the next thing we do for round 2 with our next color, so it doesn't matter what color you're using, slip stitch in any chain 1 space. So remember all those little spaces we had there? I'm just going to pick one, and I'm just going to stick my hook through and pull up a loop. I could, if I wanted to, start with a slip knot and slip stitch this way, whichever way you want to do it. I usually just pull that yarn through, always leave at least a 4 to 6 inch tail. I see a lot of people leaving little 2 inch tails. That is not enough to weave in securely. So you are not saving yourself any money by having a piece that's going to fall apart. You need to leave yourself a long enough tail. Okay. Now we'll chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That's my first double crochet. Then double crochet in the same space. So again, I'm only working into spaces. You see that hole right there? That's the space. I am not working into a stitch at all. Only time I ever work into a stitch is at the end of the round. All I'm doing now is working into a space. So I'm going to do another double crochet. Then it tells me to chain 1. Then the next instruction is in parentheses, it says 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all in the next space. Let's talk about how patterns are written. Right here where it says 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and it has parentheses around it, that means work all of that in the next space. So there's my space. 1, 2, then chain 2, then 2 double crochets, all in that same space. So I'm going back into the same space. This is where I'm starting a corner. And you'll see it starts to look more like a corner. My instructions now say repeat from asterisk 4 more times. So the asterisk, go back to the asterisk, hard to say, chain 1, and then make another corner right here, which is 2 doubles. Chain 2. And 2 more doubles in that same space. And sometimes I have to scooch the base of the stitch around a little bit to leave myself some room. And I know I'm going a little fast here because I want to get around. Okay, so there's my second repeat, and it tells me to do that all the way around. So I'm actually going to do it 5 more times, or 5 times till I get back to the beginning. Chain 1, 2 doubles, and by the way, if you're left-handed, you're just going to be holding the yarn in your left hand, holding the hook in your left hand, and holding the yarn in your right hand. I have a how to crochet a granny square left-handed. I don't have a hexagon one, but if you look at my YouTube channel, you can see how to do it left-handed. All right, so let's say I was talking and I lost track of where I was. That's okay, because I can look at this and figure out where I am. And one of the things I really like to say is, even if you are a brand new crocheter, if you can understand where you're going with it, you can avoid a lot of problems. Remember when I said we were going to do 6 corners? So I can look at this and I can go, oh yeah, okay, it looks like a corner was 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then there was a chain. Okay, where did I leave off here? It looks like I have 2 doubles in that space, and it looks like I have 2 chains. Okay, I know what to do. I can put 2 more doubles right in that same space. So even if I get interrupted, I can go back and figure out where I am. Then chain 1, find my next space. Kind of had to look for it. You see how that space is kind of closed up? That's all right. I can find it with my hook. I'm working into the space. 2, 1, 2, then 2 chains, my chain space corner, and 2 more doubles in the same spot. And then in chain 1, 1 more corner here, and then the last corner we're going to have to look at a little more carefully because it's a little different the way this one's written. There's my 2 doubles, chain 2, and see how I don't have much space there, but that's okay. I can scoot these over. 2 more doubles in that space. And chain 1. And ooh, look, is that starting to look like a 6-sided piece now? It's starting to look like a hexagon, but we got to do something about this corner. We started doing half a corner. It's just half a corner. So now I need to finish up that corner. My instructions, in case you're following along with the written instructions, are I did that 4 more times, then 2 double crochets in same space is beginning chain and chain 2. So I'm right here on the stitch diagram. So I've got to go back here and go right back into that first space. You see how I only had 2 stitches in there? I need to put 2 more stitches in here. 1, 2, and then end with a chain 2, 1, 2. Now this is the only time we're working into a stitch. I need to finish by joining with a slip stitch. There's my beginning chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to work right into the top of that slip stitch. Sometimes you have to dig in there. I mean, the top of that chain, sorry, and do a slip stitch, which is yarn over and pull through everything you've got. And then cut the yarn, leaving 4 to 6 inch tail, and fasten off. And unfortunately, there are 2 yarn tails for every color you're using. That's the only downside when you do granny squares or granny hexagons. You have all these yarn tails, which we'll weave in later. But now you see, remember the first round looked more like a circle, but now we've started adding these corners to start making a hexagon. Now I'm going to grab another color. These are kind of dull colors, but if we make another one, I have some brighter colors to use. So round 3 is slip stitch in any chain 2 corner space. Ooh, remember we had a chain 2 corner space, but we also had a chain 1 side space. So when you join, make sure you're joining in a corner space, okay? So here I'm going to slip stitch or pull up a loop and chain 3. That counts as a stitch. Double crochet in the same space. Then chain 1 and put 2 double crochets in the next space. So see how I have a little chain 1 space here? I've got to do 2 doubles in this space. Again, working into the space. Then chain 1. And now I'm at a corner. And what I do at a corner is the same thing as I did at the last corner, which is put 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. 1, 2, chain 2, and then 2 doubles right back in there in that very same spot. So there I've done part of a corner, chain 1, 2 doubles along the side, chain 1, and then I did another corner. The next thing is chain 1. I like to think of that chain 1 as what I need to jump over those 2 doubles. Here I am at a side space, 2 more doubles. Then chain 1. Here I am at a corner, 2 doubles. And I see there's some questions here. When I finish this round, I'll respond to some of those. I can't read and do this at the same time, but I will pause and get to some of that. 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Then chain 1. That chain 1 gets me across this gap. Then chain 1 again, and here I am at a corner. See that corner? Somebody tell me what goes in a corner. Is it starting to sound familiar now? 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. eventually you get used to doing this and you don't need to read a pattern at all. You just kind of intuitively know what happens. Then chain one. Here we go again, 2 doubles in this space because it's a side space. Pull out some yarn here. Chain one. Here I am at a corner. 2 doubles. Chain two. 2 doubles in the same space. Let's stop and take a look. I'll do a chain one. Let's stop and see. It's a good idea every now and then to stop and see if it's turning out the way you want it to. I have remembered to put corners in my corners because sometimes it's easy to forget to do the actual corner. If you only put 2 double crochets in this space, it'll start pulling in like this. So you want to make sure you're making your corners in your corners and your straight sides. That's just 2 double crochets on this round. So I've got chain one more corner, and then we'll go along that side and finish up that first/last corner. Chain one. Here's my last side space, my chain one space. So I have repeated from the asterisk. Let's look at these instructions. It said in next corner space, repeat from asterisk around, ending last repeat at double star. In other words, I work from the asterisk to here a bunch of times, but on the last repeat, as I'm going around, I do chain one, 2 doubles in next space, chain one, and I stop right there where that double asterisk is and jump over to here. So I'm repeating all that, except on the last repeat, I end at the double stars and jump over here. So here was that last 2 double crochet in next space, chain one, and here I am at the double asterisks, and it tells me 2 double crochet in same space as beginning chain, so that's right over here. Let me move that out of the way. That's 1. That's 2. Then chain 2 and join with a slip stitch in the top of that for that chain 3. So there we go again. 1, 2, 3. Join with a slip stitch. And slip stitch around. And then I'm going to fasten off and pull the yarn through. So let's take a look at what we've done so far. Sorry about all the ends. They're just there. We'll have to weave those in a little bit. I'm getting my granny hexagon. On the next round, I'm going to stop here for just a minute and answer some questions. But on the next round, let's talk about what you do. You'd put a corner here. So 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Chain 1 to bridge this gap. 2 doubles in this space. Chain 1 to bridge the gap. 2 doubles in this space. So you start, it starts growing. You can see that here. You can see what happens on the next one. You end up with 2 side pieces and a corner. And then if you did more, you would have 3 side pieces and corners. So it can just keep getting bigger and bigger as long as you understand what the overall idea is. So, Nicoria, I know that you've been monitoring the chat, and there may be some people who have questions. So I'm going to pause and get a drink, and let's respond to some of the questions that people have. You want to tell me what people have been saying?
Alrighty, yes, ma'am. We do have one. How is the hole in the middle so big if you only change 5?
It just stretches. So you can make a chain that's smaller, or you can use a magic ring. I didn't want to try to teach that in this class. So however you like to start is fine. But I find with this particular granny square, it's actually kind of nice to have that big hole, because the way I have the number of stitches, it lies flatter.
Alrighty, thank you. We have another one. How would you continue if you do not change the color?
Okay. So there are a couple of different ways to look at it, and I'm going to use the chart because it's going to make it a little easier. So I don't have to fasten off. I could just join with a slip stitch and keep going. The trick would be I'm going to write on here. If I end here, then my hook is, I need to get over to the next space in order to chain 3. Can you see that? If I ended here, I'm going to have to slip stitch and chain 3. So then I'd be starting here. So there are a couple of ways we can do it. I will go ahead and we'll start another one, and I'll do it as one color. And I do have a video where I talk about a better way to do one color granny squares. I'm not sure I can explain that here because we're doing granny hexagons, and I think it's probably too much. But if you want to look at, Nicoria, I think you have that link actually. It's how to improve your one color granny squares. But right now we'll just do a one color hex for the next example that I do. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'll drop that link in the chat. And then we have another question to confirm. Did you start with a magic circle?
No, I did not. I started with a chain 5 and joined with a ring. But you certainly can. If you know how to do a magic circle, you certainly can do that.
Alrighty, and then we have one from Kathy. When you go through a stitch, are you going through from the top or bottom, or does it matter?
You're going front to back. I'll talk about that here, but you're never going through a stitch. You're always going through a space. So the only time you're going through a stitch is when you're joining the end of a round.
All right, and then we have one from Christina. How do you properly hold the needle?
So there are a bunch of different ways you can hold the hook. So I use what's called a pencil grip, like this. Some people like to use a knife grip like this, or if you're left-handed, you do it this way. If you're left-handed, you could do it this way. So whatever way is comfortable for you. I just happen to be a pencil hold person, so that's what I'm showing. Same thing with your fingers. However you tension your yarn or control your yarn is going to be a very individual thing. So I can't really tell you how to do it. What I can tell you is if you need some more help in terms of, let me switch cameras because you don't need to be looking at, let me see.
Variegated.
Okay, variegated. So what you can do is, I have several YouTube videos on how to crochet, like how to do a chain, how to single crochet, how to double crochet, where I talk more about how you hold your hook in your yarn. So you might find those helpful. I'm sure there are lots of how to crochet videos that can help you. There's so many different ways to hold your hook in your yarn. I'm not going to tell you one way is right or wrong. Whatever works for you is fine. What I would say is if you're new to it, don't be in the habit of doing this. You see what I'm doing here? Don't be in the habit of throwing your yarn and then pulling the loop over like this while you don't move your hook. That's not really a great habit to get into. You want to be using your hook to manipulate the yarn and the loops that are on it. Okay, and then I see one other thing, a couple of things, and then I'm going to go back. So I am using Red Heart Super Saver and a size J or 6mm hook. You can do this using any size. You just want to make sure that the size of the hook and the size of the yarn are compatible with each other. And for that, you can look at the Craft Yarn Council's yarn standards, where they have weights of yarn and suggested hook sizes. And that's your best bet to kind of figure out what size hook you want to use with a particular yarn. You can also look at a yarn label, and the yarn label, and I'm using scrap yarn because that's what is great about grannies, is that you can use your scrap yarn. So I don't actually have a yarn label with me, but you can look on the yarn label and it will have suggested hook sizes as well. So you can make these any size you want. If it's super stiff, if you're getting a granny hex that could just like stand up on its own, you need a bigger hook because it's too stiff. You want to make a fabric that feels good. You don't want one that's going to be like, you see how that's nice and flexible, but not too flexible. That's what you want. You don't want one that would stand up on its own. If I just did that, see, mine doesn't stand up on its own. Okay. So let's go back. I'll do a one color granny hexagon. Sorry, we're doing hexagons. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. Then I'm going to come around here and slip stitch in that very first chain that I did. So I'm going in, doing a yarn over, and pulling it all the way through. And that created a ring. See that ring right there? All of my round 1 stitches are going into this ring. I'm going to have to go a little faster on this one than I did on the last one because I need to be able to get to the next round and talk about changing color. So chain 3, remember you can always go back and watch the video again and slow it down, watch it at whatever speed you want. You know, I don't care how many times you watch it because I'm not saying it over and over again. Let's see, I have to read my instructions. Chain 1. It's 2 double crochets in ring, chain 1. 1, 2, chain 1. 1, 2, chain 1. I'm going to have to scooch these around. 1, 2, chain 1. I've lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I realize this yarn I'm using is a little bit thicker than the last yarn, and it is kind of, this hook is maybe not quite big enough for it, but I'll keep going. That's the problem with using leftover yarns that don't have a label. Kind of have to figure out what you're using. All right, let's see where I am. There's my 3 doubles and 3 chains and a double crochet in my chain space. So there's 1 chain space, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's my last chain space. Chain 1, and then slip stitch in the top of that chain. Now, here's where it changes a little bit from the instructions because we're going to save the whole, we're going to keep the same yarn, okay? So now my hook is right on top of that chain 3, but I need it to be in a space. Remember, we're only putting stitches, or we're only putting our double crochets in spaces. There are a couple of different ways I can do it, but what I'll do is the most common, and that is slip stitch in the next stitch, and then slip stitch in that space And now I have moved my hook and my yarn to a space. So I can start round 2. 1, 2, 3. And I'll make a corner here. I'll make a half a corner. Actually, I'll go ahead and make a whole corner. I'm changing up the pattern a little bit here. So don't get confused. This is the same general idea, but now that I'm doing a 1 color hex, I need to change up the pattern a little bit. But we know what a corner is. We know a corner is 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then chain 1. And then I have another corner over here. And I'm just going to kind of fly through this so I can get to the end of the round and show you what happens at the end of the round, because I don't want to run out of time. There are a few more things I want to say about hexes. Hexes. Hey, we're doing hexes and it's almost Halloween. How about that? I didn't even think about that till right now. 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles in the same space. I'm kind of fighting my yarn here. If you're fighting your yarn, chances are your hook is too small. This piece is much stiffer than the other one that I did. So here I am, just la la la, trying to fly around here. If you want to know how to do a granny square, you can watch the video that Marley Bird did for Michaels and I Love Yarn Day. She did it, I think, last week, and that should be on the Michaels channel. And I also have a how to crochet a granny square video on YouTube. All right, let's see where I am here. See what I'm doing. One more corner. Now on this one, I'm ending the round a little bit differently, because remember remember how the first one that we did over here, we did half a corner. We started with half a corner and we ended with half a corner. This one I started with a whole corner. So I did whole corners around. And here I have ended with chain 1 and slip stitch to join the round. But once again, I have ended up, I can't work into this space because that's backwards from where I would be working unless I start working left-handed. So I need to slip stitch again to move myself over to the corner. And then I would do a chain 3 and do it around. So you can do it that way. That is one way to deal with this. Let me grab a drink of water here real quick. So one thing I want to point out, some of you may be finding out as you make more rounds that your granny square is not lying flat. Now mine's lying flat, it's perfectly flat here. But sometimes, depending on the yarn and my hook or the height of my stitches, sometimes it might start to ruffle a little bit or cup in a little bit. And that has to do with how many increases you're making and how tall your stitches are. So there's some fixes for that. But if you notice that it's not lying entirely flat, there's some things you can do about that. Okay. Excuse me. So is anybody, let me know in the chat if anybody is noticing that your granny square is not staying nice and flat. I know when I did this one, as it got bigger, I thought it wasn't flat, but then I actually went like this and blocked it a little bit and it's absolutely fine. So that is a thing that can happen. If you find that it's not lying flat, stop and check yourself every now and then, because man, oh man, I have probably made thousands and thousands of these things. And half the time, well, I made thousands and thousands, but about 50% of them, 25% of them ended up having to be ripped out because I'd forget a corner or something. So it's easy to make a mistake, especially if you're new to it or if you are not paying attention. It's easy to mess up. So don't get discouraged with it, because it's so easy to rip out and redo. So that's another thing that can, you know, you can give yourself some grace if you're making mistakes, because I end up ripping out. I've been crocheting for decades, and I rip out all the time. I make mistakes all the time. So don't think you have to be perfect, because you don't. So, Nicole, let's see what other questions we have coming up, because I haven't been able to read those.
So we only have one question so far, and that is, would you be able to show us to make the magic circle?
Sure. Let me see. There are a couple of different ways to do that. This is kind of beyond what I was planning to teach. So if you're new to crochet, don't let this throw you. Okay, this is something I wouldn't expect you to learn right at the very beginning. I know I went too fast for some people as it was, so just don't get discouraged when you say, just don't even watch this part. Okay, just keep doing what you're doing and don't even watch it. Let's put it that way. All right, so there are a couple of different ways you can do a magic circle. Different things are called magic circles, so I'll just show you one way to do it. I'm going to hold the yarn tail over my hand like this and wrap the working yarn like this. So let me use a different color, because that's too close to the color of my skin. Let's try this. So the yarn tail is here, and I'm wrapping the working yarn over my hand like this. Then I'm going to put my hook in underneath here, and then grab this yarn and pull it through. And you see there's kind of a twist here. Let me do that again. I'm going to go very slowly, and then I'm going to weave in ends on the piece that I did a minute ago. So here we go. Like this. I'm going to go under here and over this one and do a yarn over and pull it through. Now I have this ring. You see where my fingers are, but I also have this yarn tail. So now I'm going to use my working yarn. Let's call it a chain 3, 2, 3. And I'll work all my stitches into this ring, but at the beginning, I'm going to be working over these 2 strands here. So just going to do a few stitches here. 1, 2, 3. And you see, this is a ginormous ring. You see how big that is? That's way bigger than anything we'd want, but that's okay. 4, 5. I'm just going to stop at 5 because it'll show my point. So way bigger than I need. But if I pull on this yarn tail, watch what happens. You see how it just turned into a little thing. I haven't done enough to go all the way around, but it makes a tiny center. Now the trick though, if you make a too tight center on this hexagon, it's not going to lie flat. This particular hexagon needs a little bit of a larger center in order to lie flat. If you don't believe me, try it and see. If this is too small, then it's going to do that. Can you see what's happening? When I tighten this up, can you see how this is starting to pop up? So you don't want to do that. All right, what are we going to do about the yarn tails? Well, you need a needle. You need a yarn needle. Grab my yarn needle here. Nice red one. And you want to weave in the ends. So remember, we left at least a 4-inch tail. I'll thread my yarn needle. By the way, don't try to thread a yarn needle like that. That's way too hard. just fold the yarn over the needle and pinch it and pull it through, and you can stick it right through there. Like if you've been trying to get this tail through your yarn needle, that's really hard. So I did work over my yarn tail here, but that's not sufficient. So I will go around again a little bit. I can even pull that tighter, but then I like to work back in the other direction. So I'll jump over this one and work over in the other direction. I find that working in multiple directions is a good idea. So that one, I'm good with that one. I'm going to trim it off. Here's another yarn tail. Thread it up. This one I might work under these salmon colored stitches. Like this. I don't want them to show on the right side, but that's not enough. I'm probably going to work down through here in a couple of different directions. The more directions I work, the less likely it is to come undone. So maybe I'll work back through here. So I just use it to work in multiple directions. Some people like to split the plies of their yarn, and so actually unply it and work some strands in one direction and some in another. I don't usually do that. And they'll even do it, say, with a sharp needle, so it's piercing the stitches. I don't do that. I usually do what I just showed you here. Again, I have a YouTube video on how I weave in ends as well. So if you just look at my YouTube channel, I'm Edie Ekman everywhere. Literally, like my email address is, my website address is Edie Ekman. My social media handles are Edie Ekman. I'm not hiding. You can find me. Okay, so just weave in ends. Some people wait till the very end to weave in all their ends, and other people do it a little bit at a time. What I would say is that many people will tell you it is sufficient to just work over your yarn tails under here. I will say it's not sufficient. That's not enough. You really need to weave them in one direction and then another direction if you really don't want them to come out. So, but that's up to you. It's up to you how particular you want to be and how worried you are about having your ends come undone in the laundry. So that can, that's a matter of preference. I'm just telling you what I think is best practices, or what I've found is best practices for me and the kind of crochet that I do. So any other questions? I have a few final words to say. I know that again, you can go back and watch these more slowly if you need to. Oh, I'm wearing, hold on. I wore this on purpose. Change my camera here. I wore my Granny Hexie cowl because, hey, look, we can make things with hexagons. So here is a Granny Hexie cowl, which you can make with scrap yarn. This is worsted weight yarn. So I have lots of ideas about how to improve the look of your grannies, whether it's hexagons or squares or whatever. I have lots of tips and tricks that I teach in my classes. So I hope I will see some people coming up in the future at some point. I have a weekly newsletter that's Edie's Deals, and I have a monthly newsletter, so you can go to my website and learn about those. And I also want to put in a plug again for the Craft Yarn Council and the Craft Yarn Council Certified Instructors Program. Right now, the Craft Yarn Council is celebrating a year of I Love Yarn Day, basically. And they have started a challenge where they want 1 million people to learn to knit or crochet. So if you know how to knit or crochet, go out and teach somebody else how to knit or crochet. Jenny, I think you're still listening. If you can put something in the chat about where people can learn more about that challenge. I didn't think to get that link ready, sorry. But I would love to know that people got excited about teaching. And I have several crochet books with motifs as well. And if you're interested in the bat hat next to me, wait, there's a bat hat, and the shawl next to me. This is an easy crochet project, this gold shawl. So I have lots of things to help you with your crochet journey, and the Craft Yarn Council has so many resources. And their website is so full of information. Yarnstandards.com can teach you about yarn and hooks and sizes of things and all kinds of stuff. So check out the Craft Yarn Council, celebrate I Love Yarn Day all week, and I hope I will see some of you again really soon. Thanks for watching.